Hello, good morning. This is Professor Dillon, and this is spring 2014. And if we look out for project planning, if we look out the window, oh, it's too bright and shiny, but it's really snowing and it's about 1 degree out. This module's lesson is on project requirements. And as you know, we've been talking about on and off, and you'll see more videos on our kitchen project. And one of the things is that compared to last semester, you guys are really seeing the results of the kitchen planning project more than the actual plan itself, because we've already completed a lot of the work. But when we talk about project requirements compared to project definition, that high-level project definition was what is it we wanted to do? We wanted to remodel the kitchen, and we wanted it to we knew it was going to encounter things like the countertop, the walls, which used to at one time have this really ugly pine board. We knew it was going to, we were going to do something about the fireplace. And if you look down on the floor there, you can see that there's tile there. Well, there used to be a raised hearth that was about 8 inches, and because of the way the design of the house, those dining room chairs would actually bang into it. Now the chairs can actually go back right over the tile. So once we had the idea of we defined basically that we were going to remodel the upstairs, we were going to do things like flooring and stuff like that, and we took our scope and we said we're not going to do the driveway, we're not going to do outside, we're not going to do downstairs. We started saying what did we want how did we want our remodeling project to behave? Not necessarily the details. Like for instance, we knew that once we got the hardwood floor in, there's the hardwood floor, that we would also want, this is quite an extreme angle for you video guys, we would also want a carpet to define the living room area. And at that point, our requirements for that carpet were pretty clear. One, we wanted it to be contemporary-ish, but not so bright and bold and graphic that it wasn't going to be like ultra modern. We wanted it to be soft. And a key requirement for that carpet for us was that it couldn't contrast brightly to the floor. That was definitely that we wanted separation to define the space, but we didn't want it to be so bright and bold that it was like gaudy and in your face. We actually wanted that same thing to be true here. That tile, for instance. That tile, as you walk away from it, if you take a look, you can barely tell that it's, it's still a part of the floor. And that was a requirement for us, is that the floor was kind of, the different areas that had to have something separate to them weren't going to be contrasting and bold and in your face different. So a requirement was we knew we needed a separation of space for the carpeted area in the living room section. We knew we wanted to lower the hearth, so the functionality was that we weren't going to have those chairs bump into the back of the hearth, the back of the chairs to bump into the hearth. But we didn't know at the time exactly how we were going to do it. And so the details, now I'm showing you the end result, where you clearly saw that what we ended up doing is we bought, actually right there we have 3 20-inch tiles and brown, and we found something to match. We found a carpet that was kind of brown, and it worked out good. But the details of that actually took us a long time. So at this stage of your capstone project, you might not necessarily know or have in mind how you're going to solve the problem. But you need to be able to define and articulate what those problems are. And so as you think about, I want the website to respond this way, or I want my paper to talk about these type of topics. You might say that if you're a drag racer, I want to have a drag car that runs under 10 seconds. because that puts you in a different class than a drag car that might run a quarter mile in 15 seconds, or you want a 6-second drag car. And so then at that point, what you've done is you've defined a requirement for this hobby if you decide to go drag racing, and you said, I want to be in this. Now how you get there, those details aren't at this level. You basically are taking your definition and saying, I want to do this as a big thing, but now I want these types of behaviors, I want these types of environmental events, whether it's a web environment or a home environment or even a paper. Think about it, is that a paper that you write will have some sort of end result, some sort of end goal for the user. What's the end game? So I think what you need to do as you look at your requirements, you have an overall definition, and you kind of know you have this big vision. And what you now need to do is say that big vision, what's the end game? What are those steps of how I define winning? And so I don't want to take a whole lot more time. You've got a couple of other videos from previous semesters, but hopefully this chat that we've just had gives you another way of thinking about writing the requirements for your projects and your project plan. So you've got a high-level definition. I want to create a website that is an interactive storytelling website. I want to create a website or a web environment that uses interrelated media to communicate real-time with TV and things like that. So a lot of you have some great ideas and some great plans for that. Now let's start thinking about, well, it needs to do this. If you're out buying a car, that's probably I need a new car. So there's your project definition. I know that I need a new car to get to work. Now, what are those requirements? Do you need to be able to seat 2 people? Do you need to be able to seat 4 people? Do you need to be able to seat 8 people? Right there, that requirement, not even how many doors does it have, but the requirement of, I know that I need a car to seat 4 people. So for instance, my car going to work, I need to seat 1 person, and it might be nice that I bring my wife when we do something on the weekend, so I need to seat 2 people. I don't necessarily need to seat 4 people in the car that I use to go to work. However, we do have another vehicle, so I have a 2-door. And then at that point, but that's not the requirement. The 2-door isn't the requirement. The 2-door is the implementation of the requirement. But then now, if you have I have a coworker who has 5 children, and his in-laws live with him 4 months out of the year, because the in-laws go to each of the other brothers on the other days. So think about it: 5 children, a wife, and 2. So, you know, there we go. We have 9 people we have to transport. So that's a requirement. I'm happy, quite honestly, I don't have that requirement in my life. But hopefully these thoughts, this way of thinking will help you think about adding some more definition. Now that you have a definition, you're going to say, what are the pieces that I want it to do? Hope you guys are doing well and enjoying the semester. And I want you to trust us, Phil Simon and I and others, we've been here. The work that you're doing now for your capstone project will save you tons of work next semester in ICM 601, because right now you shouldn't be working and doing, some of you probably are, but you don't have to be doing all of your capstone work right now. It's the planning of that work that you're doing now, and it's important because once you have a map and a roadmap and you know how you're going to get from here to California, then at that point getting there is half the battle. Thanks, and have a great day.